I want to start off by introducing our panelists. So I am Dominique, Main Business Development Director for Epcon Communities. We have a franchise division where we work with local builders, so that's my role. I will be interviewing today a couple of our top builders. I have Trish, Hanchette, and Chad Weaver with me today. So Trish is with us from McKee Homes in Raleigh, North Carolina, and Chad is here from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. So with that, we're going to dive into our subject matter today, which is the top 10 challenges that builders face. So as a top national builder that our company is, and with the 80 builders that we work with across the country, we hear a lot of the same challenges that people are facing, and we wanted to get proactive and start working on solutions, right? That's one of the themes over the last couple years with all the different things that have been thrown at us as builders. How can we be better? How can we go through these learning curves more quickly? So these are the top 10 challenges that our builders identified to us that were front of mind for them. And we were able to have some conversation with Trish and Chad as to what areas here that they had some insights that they'd love to share with you all. So on that, they each picked a couple that were near and dear to their heart. I'd like to start with competition. So Trish, why don't you tell the audience a little bit about how you guys are handling competition as a company. As we know in the industry in general, a lot of builders dropped out around the recession, but that's starting to come back in now, and people are hearing that home building, while it has its challenges, we know, is also an amazing opportunity, and people get excited and jump on the bandwagon, right? How do you stay ahead of competition, both newcomers to the market and national builders?
So we are headquartered out of Raleigh now, but we actually build in 4 regions. We build in Fayetteville, North Carolina, Pinehurst, North Carolina, Wilmington, and Raleigh. And the competitive landscape is very different across those regions. We have a lot of military in Fayetteville, and we are very focused on serving the military and continuing to provide housing for them. It's very competitive in Raleigh. My background is I'm now with a private builder, which is wonderful. Previously with Lennar, previous to that with KB, so I've done my time with the big guys. And so, we don't compete a whole lot with them. They're still really looking at A and B submarkets, and we look for areas that we can do things differently. We will do septic communities. They don't do a whole lot of that. We'll do smaller communities. We'll do 10 to 50, home sites communities. But then, having that knowledge about how they operate is very, very nice for me to have because I can, play their game a lot. So on the Epcon space, we pretty much believe in the whole Lowe's and Home Depot mentality of being across the street from each other. So a lot of times when we're looking at land to place Epcon, we will try to get close to a Del Webb because we believe that they drive a lot of traffic. And the Del Webb community that is right next to High Ridge, our latest Epcon community, they are quoting 2-year delivery times right now. So we can beat that, even with supply chain issues.
Very good. Excellent. In terms of product, Trish, how do you feel like you compete against other people that are building similar things to you?
Well, a lot of builders are really backing off on their studio opportunities and doing packages. We just built a new design studio in Raleigh. We have a studio in Wilmington. We have one in Fayetteville. And we are continuing along the line of personalization, so that's one way. A pretty interesting thing that we did recently, because everybody knows the whole sales thing is a little crazy as to when you put the home on the market. I like knowing what my backlog is and knowing when I'm going to close homes. And so we actually have added 6% options into our base sales prices. It's amazing sometimes that you just fall on something that really works because the buyers are really happy about it. So they go to the studio, and instead of this, we're gouging them by everything they have to get, they're actually getting 6% that they get to spend, and we're finding that they spend a lot more than that, which is great.
Excellent. Love that. All right, Chad, you had shared with us that you have one major national in your market, but you also have seen a lot of custom builders and, all different types of builders come and go over your years?
Right, so my father started the business in 1986 and did 5 to 10 custom homes. He's an architect. Went away to college. I came back in 2005. He gave that up in 2000 and started his first Epcon community and completely abandoned the custom world. And it changed his life, my life. We have 33 employees now, closed 145 homes last year. Never really with the intent to get to that point. But I'll tell you, coming from, where I saw some hands go up building 5, 10 a year, the time, effort, and predictability of the business for what you get out of it, going to the Epcon model is, it's hard to put in words. I mean, it's predictable, your margins are predictable, there's not a ton of competition, the time with customers is probably 10% of what you're used to building custom, so for us, I can't imagine going back to that. I've been asked a few times to build a custom home here or there for an old customer, and I just pass them off to people that I know and trust in our market that still do that. I just have no desire to go back. I liked it, it's where we came from, it's our roots, but this is so much easier and more profitable and a lot more work-life balance too at the end of the day.
Excellent. Can you tell us a little bit about what you have seen with builders coming in and out of your market based on the product that they were building around the recession?
Right, so we had, we're in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. We have one national builder, NBR Homes or Ryan Homes, and there were a lot of custom builders in the market prior to the recession, and we were building just Epcon product. What happened, obviously, a lot of guys went out of business. A lot of the people that my dad started with or were in business with in '86 are gone. Banks got a lot tighter in terms of, having those types of plans in our areas where you would get 6 custom builders and there was a lot draw and everybody got to come pick a lot. They wanted somebody that had a deposit, somebody had a name that could, sell 20 to 30 a year that was willing to put some skin in the game. So they all kind of went away, and I guess lucky or dumb or whatever you want to call it, we grew every year during the recession because our product was aimed at a buyer who 50 to 60% of the time is all cash. So when rates go up a half a point or a point and people are buying a payment with a larger custom home, our customers are, they've lived their lives, they've had the big custom home, they've saved well, they're not as exposed in the market. So when there's changes in the market, we'll see what happens with this next downturn that's coming, but we've been fortunate. We've grown every year. Again, we started doing 20 Epcon homes back in 2000, and it's been a slow growth, but we're up to about 140, which is comfortable. That's where I want to stay, but it's been great.
Excellent. While we are on that subject, Trish, would you speak a little bit to, there's a lot of speculation right now about where the market's going to go in the next 5 to 10 years. How do you see yourself hedging your bets in different ways in your company against different market ups and downs?
So we, both from a land acquisition standpoint and a product portfolio standpoint, we spend a lot of time on strategy. The leadership team really helps kind of define the percentages that we want to be in our specific regions, but also in our product portfolio. So McKee Homes started with Epcon, and we are the franchise in Eastern North Carolina for Epcon. Pat, who started the company, had never been in home building before, and so it was just an incredible kind of jumping ground for him to build this company. And when it got to a point, he brought me in as an operator, and we have since just hired an incredibly talented team of people to help us keep moving. So we closed 355 homes last year. But again, I think the biggest thing is we're really focused on larger percentages both in the 55 plus product portfolio and in the affordable, if we can keep doing it, just because that's where the tsunami of the buyers is going to be.
Very good. Excellent. While you still have the mic, Trish, we want to talk a little bit and shift over to labor. So as we have all been talking a lot about and seen in the news, there are shifts in labor, not only in our industry, but every other. So Trish, would love your expertise, and maybe start out by telling us how many people are connected with your company in a labor way, and how you work with them to keep everything going.
Well, I was going to make a joke about all my kids were C-sections, so I never really went through labor, but there are days today, I think that's probably what it felt like. We have less of a labor issue than a supply chain issue. Just every day is a pivot, and every day it's the rolling of the eyes as to is it garage door springs today? We very quickly handled the window issue. We're on truss allocation, but we have 3 truss providers, and we really work to be the builder of choice. We, at the very beginning of all of the supply chain stuff, when we started seeing it happening, I gained 10 pounds with this, but we went out with all of our trade partners and took them to dinner. We paid, which was very unusual for them, just to really position ourselves as being their builder of choice and asking them what was going on in their worlds and figuring out if we could solve stuff together. We still do a lot of those meetings, but I really do think it positioned us well to not get fired, because there's a lot of builders that are being fired by trade partners today just because of bandwidth and what they can do. And so, I'm again pretty proud of my construction team and purchasing team for putting that effort in, and their wives for letting them go.
Awesome. Chad?
Same question?
Yeah, same question.
I think from a labor perspective, to kind of put it in context for what everybody in this room really goes through, which is custom, we'll call it the portico floor plan. It's one of the most popular Epcon. Our HVAC contractor's in and out of there in 3 days. Our plumber does the underground in a half a day. They rough it in a day and a half, 2 days. So from a predictability of your schedule, which then leads to margin and cycle time, there's not a lot of structural changes. You can add a second floor to these, but it makes it very profitable for them and for you, because it is repeatable. There are some gentlemen that are in the system, franchise-wise, who started as custom builders, and we joke with them when we get together, because it took them a while to get rid of that custom habit where somebody says, hey, I want a $800 vessel bowl sink in my vanity. Oh, sure, because that's what you do until you break it, and then you got to buy it, and now you're out $800. So the power of no for this buyer is amazing. Again, they're not looking for all the things you're going to find on the floor out there. It's just something simple. You give them some options. You know what your costs are. You tune your subcontractors and your vendors in on that, and the margins are so much better. We still build, full disclosure, about 20 semi-custom, $600 to $1 million homes. I have 2 subdivisions left, and as soon as they're done, I'm done. I mean, we're just done with that. I don't make near the margin on those, and it takes twice the effort as an Epcon product. So, and your labor out there that's hard to find, it makes it a little bit easier, to keep them going, and you can build more with less. So.
Awesome, thank you. Anything you would want to add on the materials side, how you've been addressing challenges there?
Probably the biggest thing with material is as you get a little bit more volume, you have a little bit more leverage to negotiate. We felt all the pain that everybody here has felt as well. I mean, we're very loyal. We have some subcontractors that have been with us since my dad started the business. They've, I believe in loyalty sometimes to a fault. So I hope that helps when we get into times like these. Carried them through some tough times, and they help us out. So it's a family-run business that, again, could I get it done cheaper? Probably. But that's just not how we operate. Everybody makes money, everybody's happy. It helps with material, it helps with labor, especially in times like these. So.
Awesome, thank you. One of the topics that came up, and there was a lot of passion behind when we had our preparatory discussion for this session, was what Trish actually named COVID fatigue. And so Trish, would you talk to us a little bit about how you've been working with your team to support them and make things happen with them being happy and satisfied as well.
Yeah, again, with just like the daily pivots that have to happen, I mean, really everybody in the organization, but builders in general, you know, the great thing about the building industry is it's never monotonous. You know, I'm always learning something, and I've been doing it for 30 years. It's never monotonous, it's always changing. It's a blessing. Today, maybe not so much of a blessing with the lack of monotony, with everything that's going on, but on our team, we have a lot of fatigue. You know, builders usually, I mean, they go there, they see their homes moving forward, they're making progress, they go home and they really feel good at the end of every day. And it's hard today. And so, you know, we are really working hard to just talk about the fatigue in our ranks. You know, somebody said on the call, are you really talking about morale? It's not morale. These people, I mean, these people love working at McKee. And we have a great team. They're tired, you know, and so we are really focused on figuring out how to keep them motivated. You know, I do really silly stuff. I'm kind of at a point in my career that I'm not trying to impress anybody, and so I act like an idiot a lot, right? And just to make people laugh, you know, and so, you know, we'll give this a chat, you can answer it, but I brought one of my hats, you know, so I just wear things, you know, just to make people smile. I've dressed up as Dorothy. There's no place like McKee Homes. I actually was dressed as Dorothy going to Pinehurst, and there was an accident on the road in front of me. This woman blacked out, so I stopped, got out of my car. I could only imagine that at the end of the day, she was talking to her friends going, and then Dorothy showed up. You know, but yeah, you know, it's just keep them laughing. I mean, humor is just such an incredible thing to motivate, and I think everybody at our company does a great job and has really adapted to, you know, how do we really shore each other up every day? Because it's tough right now, but it's still a great business.
Excellent. Chad, same question for you. You actually had a turn of phrase that I'll let you share that I thought was really good.
Yeah, I don't have a hat. She was supposed to bring me one, but so I didn't come up with the phrase, but it's compassion fatigue. Same thing. It's not morale. It's not that, you know, we have very low turnover as does McKee. People still want to work there. They're just tired. You know, they're sniffing others or feeling it in the evenings. Their kids, and we're all experiencing it. So, you know, trying to just do different things that are fun to involve not only our employees but their significant others, to be able to thank them. Our Christmas party. You know, we try to do something once a quarter. We had 2 really good years, so we went all out this year, and I'm taking the whole company to Fort Lauderdale for basically we're calling our spring break, just as a thank you, you know, for everything that everybody's been through. So, you know, we've grown because of the people. I'm definitely not the smartest guy in the room. I'm just a builder. You know, finding the right people as you grow and trusting them and allowing them to grow into their roles, and it's been really fun for us. So it's nice to just kind of say thank you and hope that they hang in there until this gets better. But I thought it was a unique term, compassion fatigue. We're just tired. Everybody wants to do well for their customer, and we're just exhausted.
Yeah, those are some really good strategies I think that you both are employing on that. So one of the things that I wanted to make sure that we touched on today was, you talked a little bit about margins, but I think that every person in this room would also, you know, nobody in here wants to try to have a price war with a national builder, right? They might want to ally themselves, but they definitely don't want to be competing on that terms with a national builder. Maybe, Chad, you can start us off, and the two of you can talk a little bit about how you differentiate yourself from that type of a production builder, how your product is special, and how you create value for that.
Yeah, I think for us it's just being, you know, in the community since 1986, or, you know, you build your reputation. We don't advertise on TV or radio, obviously we do the internet. But just differentiating yourself from a publicly traded company. Again, Ryan Homes is publicly traded, obviously. We're not for everybody. You know, if you're looking for the cheapest price, it's not going to be us. But we have a strong production team, a strong sales team, really good warranty department. So it's not going to work for everybody. But again, the nice thing is in this demographic, it's not the first-time home buyer, right? It's not that person that's really trying to pull everything they can together to buy that first home. They're willing to pay a little bit more for local. Not all of them, but enough for us, right? We don't have to get all of them.
Thank you.
Same question. You know, I just don't think it's hard to compete against the big guys. When we kind of rebranded McKee a little bit, North Carolina born and bred, I think you can really play that card. I think that's where the card is played. And I came to McKee because of people, and whether that was how we treat our customers and how we treat our associates. It's nice to be little, and it's nice to be able to market that as, you know, a big benefit that you're not, you know, we're from North Carolina. We're not, our corporate offices are not in LA, they're not in Miami, you know, we're in North Carolina. And so I think there's just a big opportunity to use that in your marketing. I will also tell you that, you know, our Epcon, I mean, even with the fees, our Epcon neighborhoods are the better margin producers in our product portfolio. So they really help bring up some of the other, if we're trying to, like I said, sell to the military, if we're trying to provide affordability. One thing Epcon really does for us is it allows us to balance and still maintain our averages per our business plan, but allow us to serve the people that we have identified we want to continue to serve.
Excellent, thank you. All right, well, we have one last topic to touch on, that is work-life balance. So Trish, if you want to go ahead and start us off there since you have the mic, and touch on work-life balance for you and what you've seen with your principals at your company in the type of products, like talking to your best friend, as we talked about, that has a custom home company, what that work-life balance can look like with the right processes in place.
Well, so I work in Pat Vacations. No, I'm kidding. You know, I mean, Pat really identified that he was we work on a platform called EOS, and he really identified that he was a visionary and needed to bring an integrator operator on board. And so he did that with me 2 years ago, really kind of just threw the reins at me. There's not a whole lot of oversight. He and his wife Julie are doing a lot of philanthropic work right now, and one of our core values at McKee is work smart, play hard. And so we're very, very focused on the work-life balance for our associates. We always want to be looking at our process and change it to simplify it if we can, so we ask a lot of questions there. And, you know, we look at our PTO balances every quarter for our quarterly conversations with people. They're not taking their vacations, we're pushing them. Because, you know, we have to refresh. And we have to make ourselves do it, and as leaders, we really, really have to be focused on making our people do it.
Yeah, very good. All right, Chad.
It wasn't great to start with, the work-life balance, but as we built the business and focused more on the processes, and again, keeping it simple from a production to a purchasing to a builder standpoint, I was able, again, we kind of grew the company up together. When I started, there was 4 of us, and I did everything, purchasing, estimating, warranty. But now I'm able to step back a little bit. I'm still there every day, but it's not the same stressor. And that didn't start just recently. That was probably, you know, when we got to around that 50 to 60 mark, when I had a good team in place that I could trust. But yeah, I mean, everybody here knows they run their own business. It's not easy to start, and it's not easy to pivot either to something new, but if it is Epcon or whatever you decide to do. But it has definitely been worth the ride, and the time and effort we put in to get to where we're at now. Like I said, we'll never go back. It's just too good.
Thank you. All right. Last question, and we'll start with you, Chad, since you have the mic, would be for the audience, your last piece of advice to them, wherever they are today right now, they want to take the next step to grow. They want to also secure their future, like between security and growth, what they should be looking at.
I take it back again. I remember a day, I was in college, and my parents were building custom homes. They had 5 specs going at one time because the market was down. And they were on the verge of closing the doors, right? I mean, they had no contracts coming in, the houses were almost complete, and there was no income. They sold 4 of the 5 in one weekend, and that's when my dad said, you know what, I'm done with this. So from, taking that first step to where we're at today, just from the predictability and the stability and kind of controlling your own destiny a little bit more, because it opens up to such a broader market when you talk about the 55 plus. It's been great. It's been a blessing for my family and everybody that works for us. So we like to try to share that and continue that. And my oldest son is a senior in high school, so whether he continues and follows in everybody's footsteps or not, but we built something that we're proud of that hopefully will continue for a long time. And I live in the community we build in, similar to what she said about being local. So I see a lot of the people we build for out at the grocery store, just out and about. So reputation is everything, especially when you're smaller.
Thank you.
I'm just going to go back to people. Again, part of our structure is right people, right seat, and really looking to put that team in place. So I just think you got to spend time figuring out who you want to be. And if that's growth, you got to find the people to help you do it. You got to recognize your strengths and weaknesses, and put people in place that can marry up well with what your goals are. But people are the key.
Love it. All right, we have a few minutes for questions. Anyone have a question for our panelists? Go ahead.
I'm new to the industry. Can you define the Epcon model for me?
Oh, I'm sorry. I was going to let Dominique do it since she's the salesperson, but why don't you do it? Oh, okay, I'll do it. So it is what I tell people locally is essentially it's considered like an NBR, Ryan Holmes, or a Pulte, right? Ed and Phil, who started Epcon back in whenever it was in the 80s, instead of moving into different markets, they franchised out the plans. It's grown a lot since then. Rob, who's right here, leads the marketing department. So it's not like buying McDonald's franchise per se. I mean, they tried that model years and years ago, didn't work out. But truly, for the custom builder who wants to do something different, the plans are done. You're not spending time with an architect. It's kind of a one-stop shop. So yeah, that's the best way to describe it.
Thank you.
Well, the only other thing that I would add is that you have access to builders across the states that are franchise builders, and you have access to corporate at Epcon. And so just the intelligence that can be gathered from those who might be exactly where you are to somebody who builds like the volume we do, it's just it's really nice to have that intel and that kind of sounding board.
Good question. Thank you. Yeah, in a nutshell, we team up with local builders across the country to help them build smarter and faster as a national builder ourselves. So, all right, other questions? Yes, go ahead.
Other than like maybe job security, like why do you like that model so much better than custom building?
Well, margins. I mean, when we started, the goal was never to build what we build now, but the opportunities that come along with, building this product. Again, we did $62 million last year in total revenue. Never envisioned that we'd get to that point. When I came back, I think we were at 7 or 8, which was fine. I mean, we did well, but there's so many more opportunities that come along with this as opposed to the scattered one-off custom, or even if you're in a plan, you're fighting against another custom builder and it's getting down to, price per square foot, nickel and dime. You own the plan, you own the narrative, you own, the sales center, the design center. It's just a different approach, so it's a lot less stressful, I think. And the customers, although some of them can be difficult, it's a whole different experience than building custom. They pick everything up front. They've got 15 days to make any changes, and once they're done, once the 15 days are up, we build their house. They can stop in and say hello, but there's no more changes. There's no waiting for something that's coming from overseas that they ordered. You know it all up front, you order it, and you go through it. So.
I had one quick question, maybe more for you. So, I'm not saying anything, but if I wanted to be a franchisee or whatever, what is Epcon providing on this thing? I'm kind of in terms of franchise. What do you provide as a builder? What do we get? And what's the financial structure? Just generally speaking.
I'd love to spend some time with you on that. The short answer would be that we teach you how to develop communities and homes the way that we do them. So every aspect of the business, from land acquisition and development to marketing and sales to actually building the homes themselves, we work with you on. We do have our full 10 challenges guide available to you in exchange for your business card. Our team is at the table there about halfway back if you'd like to make that trade-off. I think you'll love it. That guide has a lot of key details, not only the topics we covered today, but all 10. And then our team will be mingling during happy hour. So if you see an Epcon logo on a shirt or a jacket, that's us. Feel free. We'd love to answer questions. We'd love to learn more about your business and how we might be able to help. And we want to thank our panelists and thank all of you for being here with us today.